as well. Good morning, Andrea.
Hi, how are you today?
Great. Happy Friday.
Thank you. I'm happy it's Friday this week. Normally, it doesn't matter to me much what day of the week it is, but this week I'm pretty happy it's a Friday.
Oh, well, Fridays it always seems like it's this arbitrary time thing, right? Somebody invented Monday through Friday is when you work and Saturday and Sunday is when you rest, but farmers never operated that way. You go when the animals need you or when the crops need you, and there's a lot of different times. And I don't know who invented this thing called we're supposed to be up at 8 in the morning to go to work and get off at 5 o'clock. Doesn't really work for entrepreneurs quite often.
No, it does not. By the way, hey, a quick plug for a book that I read, no affiliation, but given what you're saying about time, it might be interesting to people. It's called When, The Secrets of Perfect Timing, something like that, by Daniel Pink. But the name of the book is called When. And there is research conducted around the world about when to start things, when to stop things. Like Mondays really are a thing to start something on a Monday, really? Or the beginning of the month, but something that, we think time is just this arbitrary thing, but however arbitrary it was in the beginning, it is now embedded in our brain cells.
Yeah, it's more like it's in the DNA, right? It's our bodies are trained. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that, the way we talk about 21 days to make a new habit or to break an old habit, right? And what the research that he has done shows that whenever you have a thought, it produces a chemical. And if you just have that quick thought, the chemical goes through your body, out. When you have that thought over and over again, and your body begins to produce that chemical on a regular basis, the receptors of your cells create receptors so that it can take that chemical, because it can't get it out of your system fast enough. So then if you want to change a habit or a thought, you have to stop that chemical, right, from happening. And the receptors on the cell are like, hey, I have reorganized my cells so that I can have that chemical. And you need to go think that happy thought, or you need to go think that sad thought, or you need to go think that angry thought, or you need to think that thought about time, because I have all these cells, these receptors that are waiting for the chemical, which is really interesting to think about if you're going to be joining the Great Resignation, right? Because for those of you who are joining us new, or you've been hanging out with us a bit, we're talking about the Great Resignation, which is also the Great Renewal, the Great Rejuvenation. It's people are reevaluating at this time based on COVID and trying to figure out, do I stay at my job? Do I make requests about my job? Do I just quit and start something new, or do I retire? And whenever you're going to make a big change like that, there's going to be a lot of changes that your brain has to make, right? When it comes to doing something different, especially if you've been doing that thing for a long time, right? If you've been in corporate America for 20, 25 years, 30 years, and even if you decide to retire, the chemicals in your brain are going to be like, okay, now what are you going to do? I need something to fill these receptors that are used to going to work every day. And so that you don't convert to bonbon eating and television watching, you want to be conscious of the new chemicals that you're going to produce. So I'm really excited to have Andrea Bednar here. Andrea visits with us periodically, and Andrea's background, I'll let Andrea say a little bit more about herself in a moment, but today we've been looking at this notion of change and what it takes to change, even when you have a big dream and you've been dreaming it a lot and you've been talking about it a lot and you're still not taking any action. And even the people around you are kind of like, there she goes, talking about that thing again. So Andrea, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself just a little bit here, and then we can go a little bit deeper on this conversation.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me be a frequent guest. I appreciate that. I always enjoy these conversations, and we never know exactly where they'll go. I mean, I don't know if your audience knows this, but these are not like scripted. These are like, here's our topic and let's explore it, right? which Dawn and I both really love doing, is exploration. So it's fun to do it together. I have been in the performance consulting leadership development work for about 30 years now. And I still think that can't be possible because I'm only 30 years old. How could I? No, I'm kidding. I don't mind aging. So let's see. So I've been doing that for a long time. I've worked with the Fortune 100. I've worked with the Fortune 10 on that with the very senior people and what that takes to make it happen. And the truth is, no matter where you go, whether it's the Fortune 10, whether it is a solopreneur, whether it's, my daughter-in-law that I'm working with, human beings are human beings. And the stuff that gets in the way of human performance is fairly universal. We have the same stuff. And while each of us have it a little bit differently, and we have, like you were talking about the cell receptors that now are craving certain conversations. So each of us has that a little bit differently, but we're very similar in what it takes that motivates us and what our resistances are. And, there's some kind of extraordinary people out there who seem to have found the answers, but the truth is they didn't find an answer. They found a pathway that they could use. And then we stand over here and look at them, leaping off tall buildings and, going to space and whatever else they might be doing, and think that that's not who we are. But I promise you, that is who we are. Like I've worked with enough people. I've worked with thousands of people now over 30 years. They're not really different. So anyway, that's what I do. And I do some executive coaching as long as it's in conjunction with leadership development, because I find that coaching without also the educational part doesn't work as well. So anyway, and then I work with people on what does it take to produce extraordinary results. What does it take to produce results that you don't know if you can produce, or you haven't tried to produce before, or you have tried and failed? But what does that take from the human side? Anyway, that's what I do. I live in North Texas. I'm married for 42 years now as of last.
You said you were 30 years old. How is that possible?
Yes, I got married before I was born. And I have 3 grown children and 7 grandchildren and 2 big dogs, and I live on 55 acres near a lake. So life is good.
Yeah, you do have a really great life. And I've known Andrea for probably almost half of the years that she's been on the planet already, which is hard for me to imagine.
Exactly.
And we've worked in those Fortune 10 companies together in the past. And so I really trust Andrea and believe in the work that she's done, because she's not just a guest. She's someone who I have seen in action, who can really support individuals and teams in completely transforming the workplace so that they can pursue those things that are really big and really important, especially when you're in an environment where it seems like either the public is against you, or your friends don't quite believe in you, or your family is kind of like, what are you doing there? Because it's easy to stop doing things that you really believe in when the people that you count on for your support system, they're not supporting you in that particular part of your life. And our careers are really big parts of our lives, right? And I love everything that you always have offered. And this notion of all of the things that are out there, it's really some people find a path, right? And then they say, let me share my path. And then somebody else finds a path and let me share their path. And everybody's got to find their path. And it's not a bad thing if you listen to me and you listen to Andrea and you listen to Tony Robbins and you listen to, Daniel Pink, whoever it is, and just find one of the paths that works for you. And we're here to kind of help share lots of different paths. So today, what I'm going to be working with Andrea on, and this is one of those things where I'm actually going to kind of go into the hot seat or the love seat. Hopefully it's more like a love seat than a hot seat. But Andrea's got a really strong background. We're working on this resistance to change conversation, or what stops you, especially if you're thinking about, I'm going to jump and go do something different. And you're still not taking the action, like what's happening. So Andrea, you want to talk a little bit about that? And I'm happy to be in the coaching hot seat whenever, whenever it shows up there.
Okay, so what happens is sometimes we notice that we're resisting change, but lots of times it's not, it doesn't feel like resistance. It just feels like, oh, well, I'm doing stuff, but nothing's happening, right? We don't feel like we're actually avoiding it. Like we feel like, okay, but I did this and I did that and I did the other thing and then I did that thing, and yet nothing's happening, right? And we don't realize that there is a, sometimes I'll call it the master governor, but it is a saboteur, and it's very wily and it's very smart and it is very invisible. Like we think we're being rational and reasonable, and then other people's saboteur, they get that on us. And we think, okay, but that's just them being rational and reasonable. Maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, right? Or maybe I am just jumping too much. And this is a silly thing at, 50 years old. Should I really be starting as an entrepreneur, especially in this climate and inflation? They're probably right. And then, we have no path. We have the path of, whatever we've done before. So that's one of the things that I'm encountering a lot with people right now, is people who want to do something different or who are trying already to do something different, but either nothing's happening or they just can't, stuff just keeps getting in the way of them making any progress. So that's one of the things I see. And, sometimes it's just sometimes people have the over analysis, where they
analysis paralysis kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And some people actually are in action, but can't figure out why nothing seems to be happening. So anyway, so if we want to do a little we kind of explore it live versus just talk about it, is there anything you're noticing with your leap into the world that you created for yourself a few years ago?
So I come from I'm going to call it an entrepreneurial background. My dad was a serial entrepreneur, and he would let a business go to a certain point. And then when it got a little bit too complicated, or he had to hire an extra person, or if he was going to be up against some sort of OSHA safety rules, then he would shut it down and go and reinvent it so he could keep it small and under his control. And I have a sister who's an entrepreneur. She's like this most magnificent massage therapist. And then I always followed the corporate route, but always dreamed of doing entrepreneurial things. And I started a lot of different things and allow myself to get sucked back into corporate America. Nothing wrong with corporate America, right? But sometimes I felt like there were more things that I could do that were under my control than having a boss. Realizing that sometimes I'm not always the best boss now that I'm an entrepreneur and business owner. But I think that what I'm up against now more than anything, so Shimula is our business, and we started out as a company where we wanted to be kind of Tony Robbins-esque, right? Where we wanted to be in front of 1,000 women at a time, and having people like you and me and wealth advisors and different people in front of the room, and really working with women in a large setting on altering their relationship to money, right? Just, come in, they're ready, let's go, let's do that. And then COVID hit and we reorganized ourselves. So because we couldn't obviously be in front of 1,000 people when everything was shut down, and we started doing classes instead. And what I'm finding is that the people that I hang out with in my life, they're 60s and they're on the backside. They're like, retirement is right around the corner, and they've worked for big corporations. They are not entrepreneurs that are retiring. I've got a few friends that are in insurance or that are wealth advisors. I know this is kind of a long story, but what happens is that no one really in my circle wants to hear about the business, right? They're they're in another spot, and they don't actually hang out with people who have an interest in starting businesses like Liz and I are supporting people on, and working with people who have money conversations, because they are surrounded by people, or at least they think they are, who've got their money stuff handled. They don't realize that a friend might be having a financial heart attack, because people don't ever talk about money. And so what I find is the people that I really want to share about with my business, and the things that we're finding and the work we're doing and where I need support, it occurs to them like, oh, that's just Dawn's just jumped again, doing one more thing, when I'm really very committed to this. And I really got committed to women and money when I had to file bankruptcy about 15 years ago. And I realized there were so many women just like me who had never been trained in anything around money. And I wanted to find a way to support them. I'm so committed to this. And so what I find though is that it isn't always something that people want to talk about. And so I have to go, I really am talking to complete strangers, and it takes a lot longer because people aren't raising their hands saying, pick me, I suck at money. Right. So then I go do things that are not getting to the people right away. It's, one more LinkedIn post or one more Facebook post or something like that. Instead of like, where do I find the people that I can talk to? So then I want other people to do that for me.
Gotcha. I get it. So what's kind of the mood of this for you? Is it frustration, resignation, sadness, joy? What's the mood around what you're talking about for you? Not for other people, but for you.
The mood is more probably embarrassment. Like, did I do the right thing? Like questioning, doubting. I think it's kind of like this doubting kind of a feel, like, yeah, it's like doubting. Now, it's not that there's not a need for it, but should I be doing it? Or should I be doing it? Should Liz and I be connecting with a bigger group instead? Like, should we fold ourselves into something, or do we stay as our own? And we really want to do, we're so committed, but I keep doubting. And for those of you guys who are listening, this is really vulnerable to talk about this when you're in your own business. And Andrea, I appreciate that you're, it's an important question that we always have to ask as entrepreneurs.
Right. And so, for everybody who's listening, what Dawn is saying, while really real for her, is also real for a number of you, right? That there's this doubt. And that's one question I would recommend you ask yourself is, what is the mood for you around whatever it is that you're currently engaged in, inquiring into, or thinking about, or trying to move yourself through, something like that? What's the mood? Because the mood is like the blanket that's put over the top of all the actions. So that mood, that doubt, is what's happening. Like it covers everything that you're doing, Dawn, right now, right? And we don't always know it. So then we're underneath this blanket trying to fix things and do things and all of that, but being completely colored in by doubt. In your case, other people might be something else, second guessing, doubt, that kind of thing for you. So what that means is that then when you go and talk to the people that you wish were more interested, and that you think maybe have a less generous opinion about you because of what you're doing, the odds are you are bringing that doubt in to those conversations, that second guessing yourself into those conversations. So assume for a moment that might be true. We don't know. And I would do this a little bit more deeply if we had more time. I'm going to kind of skip a couple places here just so we can see some things. So if someone came into your space, if I came into your space, and I am, and you are committed that I do not make a mistake, that I get taken care of, and I come in And even if I don't say this to you, my whole mood and tone is that I'm second guessing myself. What is likely to happen in our conversation?
I might start second guessing myself.
Yes, and you might notice that I'm second guessing myself, and you might want to protect me from whatever I am afraid of,
Mhm.
right? Even if I don't say I'm second guessing myself. But if I start saying, yeah, you know, I'm excited about this and I'm really hoping we can get this to work, although my LinkedIn thing isn't working as well as I would like, right? And now I'm saying all of this, and you're trying to hold space for me to be in great shape and okay, and to have my finances in the right place, and, you know, be able to retire and to be happy. Like, that's the space you're holding for me. And I come in and there's a mood of that I'm second guessing myself. You are likely to second guess along with me.
Mhm.
You aren't likely to cheerlead for me so much, because you're going to hear, even if you don't recognize it, what I'm bringing to the conversation.
Because I already have that filter in place. And if I had a different filter, I might hear it differently.
Exactly. And
Okay.
if I presented myself differently, like if I was like, you know what, I know the LinkedIn thing didn't work, but experiment down, great, I've learned about that. Now I'm going to do this and I'm going to tweak it a little bit like that. And I might say, so Dawn, what recommendations do you have? And, you know, I totally appreciate if you don't have anything in mind, it's completely fine. I've got plenty of people I could talk to about it. Then you're free not to have to worry about me.
Right. Right. But it almost becomes like like a colored glass that I'm looking through, right? If when I'm feeling doubt, now am I feeling it? Let's say if it's doubt or uncertainty or whatever that mood is it, so the first question is it there operating a lot in the background? Like, or is it when I just notice that doubt is my mood?
No, it's usually there in the background quite a bit, right? I mean,
Okay.
it's like mostly there. Sometimes it's not as bothersome. It's like having allergies. You know, some days you don't have to blow your nose all day, so you think, oh, I'm better. And then the next day you have to blow your nose again all day, right?
Okay.
So it's sort of like that. It can run in the background. But what I would say, and again, just for time's sake, we're not digging into this so much, but it sounds like this kind of doubt about jumping and, you know, doing this at this stage of life, that kind of thing, right, is that you really do doubt yourself. You really do doubt, is it possible, can I do what I wanted to do? You know, you've had to rethink and pivot on your original intention. So now,
Mhm.
are you really even doing what you wanted to do? Is this what I want? You know, those are questions that come up. And
Right.
right, and
And
especially because of you know, like COVID and, you know, your experience and stuff like that. And lots of times we have images of the way we think it's supposed to turn out.
oh, interesting. Yeah.
Right? Like, you know,
Right.
like you have an idea of what your business is going to look like. Like anybody who's thinking about jumping into something new from wherever they are right now, and especially those of us who are like over 45, that just gives us that we have a different point of view than we do under 45. But if you have this idea, okay, you know, it'll be hard for this amount of time, and then we'll have this. And then, you know, I know there's an online thing and we're going to get connected in that. And then, you know what, we're going to have up to 3,000 people at our events. And we're going to have these, we're going to fill this auditorium. And you have all these images that are associated with your intention. And sometimes we forget that the images we have and the intention we have are not the same thing. We confuse the images with the intention. Because
Mm.
haven't you had this before where you intend something and then later you look back and you go, oh my God, I actually got that thing. It just didn't look how I thought it was going to look.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so right now you've got several things going on. One, your business was thrown into a pivot that you weren't expecting, like many people's were because of COVID. And the way it's turning out, regardless of the pivot, isn't 1,000-person audiences, which is what you expected. So then you got to ask yourself, most people would be asking themselves, not that you should, did I do the right thing? Is this what I want? Is this the direction I'm going? And this is why most small businesses are gone in 3 years. How long have you been in Shimula now?
As an official company, we're coming up on 2.5 years, right? The idea has been there for a while, but it's this official spot. And I mean, we're doing well. We're just not making the big impact that we really wanted to make, right? We really wanted it to be like people would be like running to us and saying, yes, I really want to get this sorted out because retirement's in the windshield and I want to make it happen. And, you know, there's doubt, or some days it's overwhelmed. You know, you asked me pretty quickly what it was. And in the moment, the feeling was doubt, but really quite often it's more overwhelm. Like there's so much to do to really get at what I want to accomplish. And I don't always have enough hours in the day. And then there's the doubt. How do I get more hours in the day? How do I get to more people? You know, it is a very, you know,
the feelings that you're describing, Dawn, people have a sense that they're going to end up feeling this way. So that's partly why they don't even jump. Because they know they're going to wonder, should I have done it? Should I spend my retirement on, you know, part of my retirement on getting this thing going or whatever? But here's the biggest secret, non-secret of it. And that is that people kind of think they get into what they're going to do, and then they try this hero method. The hero method is, I'm going to push my willpower through. I'm going to work those extra hours. I'm going to do what I have to do to make this happen. And, you know, there might have been a world in which that was an okay pathway. We don't live in that world anymore. We just don't. We're not organized to think that way anymore. People know better than to push themselves for 5 years to the detriment of their health. And especially if we're over 45, we feel that more. Most of us do not have the leeway to make, you know, to stay up all night, you know, a week in a row.
Right.
So the secret is this, and people don't like it because it feels too slow, and it absolutely works. Small steps, small bites. You look at, here's the thing I do for myself every day. What are the 3 things I will get done today? And I look at my calendar because I make sure I don't put stuff on that list that I know for sure I can't get done because my calendar is already full.
Got it.
Right. And so really small steps. So you look at what you want to accomplish by the end of the year. And then you look at in January, what step would I need to take so that by the end of the year, I'm here, not to try and get to the end of the year in January, which is what most people do. That's what the hero tries to do. So, I mean, this is something we can talk about more, but really it is as simple and as hard as that.
Well, I think that, you know, we're kind of coming up on the half an hour, which has been phenomenal. And I really appreciate you coaching me because hopefully it's been helpful for the audience. But what I really can see about it is that when I let that mood overtake me, the whole notion of like trying to create under a blanket, I can actually see sometimes there might be this blanket, and then I don't understand why people can't see through the blanket.
Exactly.
Right. So, but this.
And Dawn, I just want to say one other thing about that is we have to take into account who are the right people. Sometimes it's really upsetting for people in our lives to think, because they get worried for us, those aren't the right people to talk to.
Right, absolutely.
Take care of them. Don't burden them with the, ooh, we got this and that, and we don't know what's going to happen. It's all uncertain, right? Because that bothers them. So find people who are the people we can talk to who really will support us, who will kick us in the butt and cheerlead all at the same time. And it's okay not all the people that you love seem like they support that, but the truth is they support you in being happy. They just don't
Right.
always know how to support the pathway you're currently on.
Right. And a person like me who's hopelessly optimistic, whenever I express a doubt or a concern or overwhelm or worry, they don't know what to do with it.
Right.
And so their first instinct is to say, well, you should just go back to corporate America. And that isn't really what I want to hear. I need to just, we just need to call our people like you, right? My great friend, Andrea, and just say, hey, I got this thing going on. I'm a little worried. Can I just share what's going on? And I think that's important. But this other idea of practices, let's have you on again where we talk about, she has a program about practices and the importance of practices. And it's almost like Darren Hardy has a version of like about compounding practice. If you keep doing something over and over again, but small steps, how it grows over time. And your program, I have used that. I love that program. I have a lot of practices in place as a result. So let's have you come back on again and talk about practices. But thank you so much. And thanks for everyone who's been watching. If you have questions or topics or speakers you'd love to see us have on as regarding the Great Resignation, or if you're just kind of reevaluating, trying to figure out how to renew, all of these topics and conversations are really designed for you. So thanks for being online with us now or watching the recording, and we will put contact information into those videos when we're all finished. So thanks again, Andrea. Have a wonderful
Thanks for having me.
weekend.
All right. You too. All right. Bye, Dawn.
For now. Bye-bye.